So let me just share my screen. All right, so this is the course slides. So introduction. Okay, let me start from. Sorry, some people are still trying to join. All right, so this is the presentation for our course slides. So starting from here, we have the introduction, the course outline, introduction, importing data, basic visualization, MERS and DAX, working with charts, KPI map and slicers interaction, advanced techniques and remark. So the advanced techniques is so we are going to be looking at each of this section one by one. So one by one. So if you don't understand anyone, and each of them has their own milestone, I break it down such that at least each of this section has their own milestone. So for the first one, which is introduction, this is the milestone for the course. Sorry. So this is the milestone for the course, and for introduction, we have intro to Power BI, downloading Power BI and database normalization. So like I said, the whole class is going to cover from now till next week Thursday. It's just 8 days, or let's say 2 weeks. So within those 2 weeks, it is expected that at least you get most advanced level to some extent of Power BI, to the level that you'll be able to say, oh, you are good to go on Power BI. So today is the first day, so that's day one, and we are going to be starting with introduction, the intro to Power BI, downloading Power BI. I know many of you have been asking questions on how can I download Power BI, how do I do this and that. So today we are going to cover it, and database normalization. This is the major thing for today. So day two, we are going to learn how to import data from the Power Query editor, checking data type and loading data, basic visualization. That's for day three. Day four, mirrors and DAX. Day five, working with charts. That will be next week, Monday. Day six, KPI map and slicers. How do you interact with your slicers? And the date eight is the advanced techniques. And let me just quickly say this before probably I won't forget. These advanced techniques, which is like the additions, I've make it like an additions. I mean, I intentionally make it day eight just because I noticed that this day one to day seven, without like knowing all this day one to day seven, to be very quiet, like it's quite hard for you to know this day eight. So, and I believe that at some point in time, some people, this is a free class and they can be like, oh, I've learned everything. Let me just go and start on my own. They won't want to follow up with the class. I don't want to, I won't like to produce that kind of student. So that's why I section it in a way that even though if you learn this day one to day seven and you don't learn this day eight, you can never, it's not possible, call yourself a Power BI expert. It's not possible anyway. And you're going to be even facing a lot of issues, like a lot of issues. And you're going to be stuck. And from there, you can even lose interest. All these things will just be like waste. So I would just advise us that no matter what, try as much as possible to cover this day one to day seven, especially day eight. Make sure that you cover the day eight. Try as much as possible to meet up with the class to day eight. Like I said, I'm going to provide videos for each section so that for each class, so that at least maybe we can always revise and check up some of them later on. So that's for the course milestone. So for introduction, which we are going to be doing today, I'll still come back to this. Importing data, steps required, basic visualization, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. So these are for each days, and this is the last day actually. So this is for the addition I was talking about, additions. So this one is like a major thing that you really need to know. You can see that they are quite bulky, but they are simple actually. But I just make it explicit here. So it is very, very important. Without all these sections here, you cannot say you are a Power BI expert. It will be very hard to call yourself a Power BI expert. And it will be very, very hard to also say you want to be working with Power BI with just a basic knowledge for like that, those day one to day seven. So that's it. Our first timeline is just from Monday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. everything is 1.5 hours. So 1 hour, which is 5 to 6, will be for going to like teaching, like it will be for teaching, while 30 minutes will be allocated for answering questions. But this is not like it is hard coded. At some point in time, it may vary. We may use 1 hour, 10 minutes for, but we won't use more than 1.5 hours, regardless. So Monday to Thursday, this is how it goes. And all right, so that's the end of the slides. So for today's session, which is introduction, so I'll just start from there. So introduction. So we are going to be looking at intro to people are just joining in. This is past 5 already. All right. So introduction. So intro to Power BI, downloading Power BI, and database normalization. So this is what we are going to be looking at today. So I know some of us are not even familiar with Power BI at all. Like you don't even know like how does Power BI looks like, how does it seems to be, and all those things. So I'm going to cover the explanation of how Power BI is, like the workflow of Power BI. So this is an example here. Okay, so this is an example here of how Power BI looks like. So this is the interface of Power BI. It's just this, and this whole side here, I call it dashboard. And this particular place that you are seeing here, so we have report view, as you can see, we have table views, and we have model view. So these are like the 3 views that we have in Power BI. And this pane here is what they call visualization pane, and this pane here is what they call data pane. So we are going to be looking at each of these in details. I'm just trying to show you how Power BI is. So let's say, for instance, I select maybe 2015 here now. Let me unselect this. So the old data is going to change in a way. So let's say I select 2014 instead. The old data is going to change too. And I can also slice maybe by, let's say I want to see binder alone. So that's how it works. So, and these are these are most of the things we're going to be doing. So this is another visualization as well. Under this one, I can slice by, let's say 2012, and let's say I want to move from, this is one page, this is another page here. So this is another page here, but let's say I want to move back to the previous page I'm coming from. I just press on this link here. It will go back to the previous page, and I'll be able to see whatsoever that is there. And you can put any image or any icon that you want people to interact with. For instance, this is my LinkedIn. This is like a link to my LinkedIn. If I should click on it, it's going to go to my LinkedIn profile, and people will be like, oh, I see your profile and all those things. So Power BI has desktop and online version. So this one I'm showing you here is like the desktop version. So the online version of Power BI is this. Yeah, this is the online version of Power BI. So it's more or less the same thing, just like their interface is different. So it also has like a mobile version. So I'm using desktop to present, so I won't be able to show you the mobile version, but it has mobile version as well. So it has both desktop layouts, it has mobile layouts, it has online service, and it has, what's it called, the desktop version too. So some people were asking sometime like that, like how do we download, how do we sign in? I was like, you should be very careful. Don't do anything yet until we get to the class. This is now, I'm already signed in, but there's a way to sign. You can't just sign. If you should sign anyhow, it's going to, you probably have an issues. So any Microsoft Power BI actually takes some process, like it takes some kind of like some level of understanding before you can do anything. So that's why I said you should not do it on your own, but we are going to cover them in the class. So so these are other visuals. So this one too, just like other ones also work. It's just the same way too. For instance, let's say this one is quite different. For instance, now let's say I select furniture category from this, and I select jumbo box. So if I want to reset, everything is going to change, but if I want to reset it back to the previous this thing, I can just press on this icon. So it's going to return it back to the previous way it is. So all these things are the things that I'm going to be showing you how to run them eventually. How do you create a map? How do you create the slicers? How do you create a KPIs and all that? So some of the visuals we are going to be working with is all these visuals that are here. All these visuals that are here. So we have column charts, bar charts. What is the difference between bar charts, column charts, stack charts? So all these things we are going to be looking at them. When do you use donut charts? Where do you use sunburst charts? When do you use pie charts, matrix, table, tree map, decomposition tree? So many of them like that. So we are going to be looking at each of those visuals. So that's one of the things we are going to be doing in this class. So like I told you initially, we have report view, we have view, and we have model view. So for this report view, that's what we are seeing here. If I should click on this table view now, it's going to show me all data that I have already imported into the dashboard, into the app. So these are my data, and the data is data. You can see data, what's it called, data pane. So I have date dimension, we have fact, product dimension, user dimension, and all that. So if I should click on facts now, this particular section is going to change to fact table. So that's how it works. So the last one is the model view. This one just work like how do you connect a particular table to another table? So this is one table here, user. This is another table here, fact. This is another table here, date, product dimension. So you can see some kind of links between them. We call them cardinality. So this one's too, these are some links there. So all these things, we are going to explain them in details. So these are one of the things we are going to be looking at in this class. So specifically, we are going to be using this visual. We are going to be replicating visuals. So we are going to clone these visuals. This is what we are going to be using to start first. And later, for day 1 to day 7, we are going to be doing this. However, once we get to the addition, which is day 8, we are going to be doing this visual specifically. Most of the additions part contains this visual a lot. How do you create a bookmark? How do you go back? How do you go to the next page? All those things are in day 8. So you can see how day 8 is very much essential. How do you even share? How do you publish your documents? How do you, after creating everything on desktop, how do you publish it online? How do you share to friends, clients, organizations, and all that? So all these things we are going to cover them in the additions part. So that is why it is very essential that you are available at the day 8. However, you cannot do day 8 also without day 1 to day 7. So that's why I'm starting the whole class with a very simple visuals like this. So this is very, very simple. This is something I can just do. It's just something I can be playing with. For instance, now let's say I want to create a visual. Let me just move this to the other side. Let's say I want to create something like a line chart. So I can just drag and drop. Shit. So let's say I want to draw a line chart. You can just I'll just click on the visual.
This is another so just write the
All right. So this let's say I want to create a visual now. This is one visual here. So I will just click on any visual I want to create. I will come to my data pane. I will select anything I want to create. Let's say I want to create date by sales, by some sales or something like that. So you can see it just give me some kind of visuals according to the data I provided. So, but we are not going to be looking at all this now. So I will still explain better. So let's just I'm just trying to give us some kind of introductions to what we should be expecting anyways. So that said, I've shown our examples, and also I'm going to be explaining to you how you can sign up, how you can sign in on this Power BI. I think I've mentioned that before, and also how you can create your portfolio. So like one person at one time like that do we need certificate for this class? I was like, there's no need for certificate. No organization or corporate organization is going to ask you that, what is your certificate certificate or something. As far as data analysis is concerned, you must have something to show for it. You can't just be saying, I know it, I can do it. No, it's not like that. You must be able to have something to show. Something that is very stunning and captivating that people will see and be like, wow, you get. So that's one of the advantages of having a portfolio. So that's also part of what we are going to be doing in the 8th. I'm going to be introducing how you can create a portfolio to you. This is an example of portfolio. So for instance, now I think many of you even have the links to my portfolio anyway. So let me just quickly show you how it looks like. So if after finishing all your visuals, you can just import it to this page or any portfolio site that you can just use or load that. So that's it. And I'm going to be explaining this too, but that will be for day 8. All right, so that is everything about Power BI visualization workflows. So now to go back to the main class, I think under this course milestone, I've explained intro to Power BI. So now is how do you download Power BI? So I'm going to explain this in details, how you download Power BI. It's very simple. But the reason why I decided not to answer that question in this for individuals is because I know that many people may also have that kind of question. So I decided not to answer the question individually. So let's just say I want to download Power BI. Just click on download Power, just press anything, download Power BI, and just follow suit. It's very easy. Now Power BI desktop. It is free. You can see this link now. It means that I've visited this link before. That's the meaning of this color. Once you just click on it, it's going to show you what kind of this thing do you want to download. Is it for 64 bits or 32 bits? So depending on your what's it called, depending on your size. For this one now, this one is 32 bits, and this one is 64 bits. So for 32 bits, it is 390 MB, while 64 bits is 400. So just click on the one that you know that. So just click on download. It will just follow the prompt. It's very easy. So that's how to do it. So, but make sure that you select the one that works for your system, so that you're not going to be having issues. If you know you're using 32 bit, don't download the one of 64 bit. And if you know you're using 64 bit, don't download the one of 32 bit. So know the one that works for your system very well. So and that's how to do it. You don't need to even just have one of your Google accounts. You don't really need to sign in like that. Just click on download Power BI and just follow the prompts. It's very easy. Download it. So one thing I would like to say regarding downloading Power BI, every month, Power BI used to update their software. So in that regard, it is always necessary for you to also update you should also uninstall the current one and install the new one. The reason is because immediately they are going to be notifying you that your this thing is due for updates, your this thing is due for updates. If you don't update it in time, it's going to it may lead to crashing your system in a way. So you must try as much as possible to download the Power BI and you can always follow them on YouTube to know. You just search for Power BI Microsoft. You can follow them on YouTube. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel and try to follow them. So if there's any updates you are going to know, you just try to change the former one and download the new one. So that's how it works. There's no any other thing regarding that. I'm talking from experience. Just like last month, I was being adamant. This thing was telling me, that kind of thing. This thing is telling me that I should download a new this thing. I was like, how will I that? I was just doing as if I was not listening to it. All of a sudden, I just see my system screen just it's just flickering in a way. I was very surprised. So when I went online and tried to check the reason, they said it's because of I did not update my recent installed app, which is Power BI. So it is very essential. Anytime they update this thing, it is every month, and their size is always much. It's always enormous. This is almost 500 MB. So and I know many of us say stay. So if you don't have much, you can always do line swap anytime that you want to update the app. So that will actually help you a lot. So that's everything about introduction and how to install Power BI. And what I was saying the other time that I'm going to teach you how to sign into Power BI, that will be later in the class, like after we finish the whole dashboard. That will be in day 8. So that's when I'm going to explain how you can sign into Power BI, how you can publish, how you can, because you cannot share this visual from the desktop. It is not possible to share it from the desktop. You must go to the online version. This is the online version that I did. So I have my workspace. For instance, if I want to go back to my workspace, I'll just click on my workspace. So I have my workspace, everything that I've done before to show here, everything. I can also edit, regardless of any this thing I'm choosing, any what's it called? Oh, I click on the so regardless of any this thing I choose, regardless on any dashboard that I choose or reports, I can edit it also, just like I'm going to edit it on desktop as well. The same thing, the way you are going to edit on desktop, you can also edit it in what's it called? So in the online version. So if I want to edit now, just click on edit here and I will start editing. It's going to bring the visualizations pane the way we see it on. So you can also design, you can see design your report on mobile. So you can also do it for mobile layout and all those things. So I just start designing from here to any way I want it. So all these things we are going to explore them, different between dashboard, reports, data sets, workspace, and all that. How do you embed? How do you bookmark? Many of them like that. We are going to explain vividly as the times goes on. So that's it. We are going to, like I said, we are going to be working with these particular visuals to start with. We're going to be working with this particular visual to start with. And this is now, if you just open Power BI, this is the way it's going to look like. Immediately you open Power BI like this way is going to look like. Anyways, if you have not done anything at all, if you have not even get any data, you can see you haven't no data yet, get data, something like that. So this is the way the interface is going to look like. It is from this interface that we are not going to be working, we're going to be working with. So, and that's how it works. So I'm going to be teaching us these particular visuals, like I said. We are going to be working with this. And working with this, we are going to, at least we are going to learn some data. So how do we import those data? How do you use Power Query Editor? Many things like that. That's one of the things I'm going to be putting us through. So that's everything about this introduction section. And I believe that we are able to notice some things. Try as much as possible to always jot things down because it is very important. Although I'm recording the video, but at some point in time too, you can always jot some little things down. It will really help you. It may not be possible for you to put everything on your head at once. So, but jotting them down may even make you to feel okay. Even though if you forget, you'll be able to say, okay, let me come here and there. So, yeah, some people ask me questions too on how can they is Excel and Power BI the same thing, or what is the major differences from Excel and Power BI? Well, majority of the things that you can do in Power BI, you can also do it in Excel. There is not much differences. But let me say there is not much differences, but there is a very significant differences from Power BI and Excel. Like I was like someone asked, I was like comparing an automatic car with a manual car. So you know how the flexibility is. So that's just how Excel and Power BI also works. Many of the visual that I just show you guys, I can also do the same in Excel too. Just that it's going to take a lot of time. And it is not like unlike Power BI. Now Power BI already have the interface. It has the visuals and everything in place. But Excel, you have to be the one to start designing your everything yours from the scratch. So it's always quite hard in a way. But Power BI is just simple and flexible, very simple and flexible. But many of the things that you can do in Power BI, you can also do it in Excel. But Power BI is just like an advanced level. It is just built majorly for visualization. So, like I said, both we have data, we have statistical data analysis and visual data analysis. Both of them work in line. So, under this visual analysis too, there are some things that we are going to be doing that is relating to statistical data. For instance, now there are some I will share. We are going to do all those things, but let me just quickly run through all those things for you guys so that you can just see ahead. So all these things you are seeing here, this column, they are just based on calculation. It's not even from the data initially. So they are just based on calculations. So how do you do all those calculations? All those things are for statistical data analysis. But the way you are seeing this visual here, these charts, this table, this timeline, everything like that, they are known as visual. That's visual data analysis. So for instance, now this says by category. What it is trying to explain is that, okay, there is a product that is called Amazon Mart. And in that product, we have three categories of that product. We have technology, we have office supplies, we have furniture. So we are saying that $210,000 of technology, like 210,000 sales is made from technology category. Look at this one. So we are saying that about $190,000 is made from office supplies. Why about $148,000 is made from furniture categories. So these are one of the things that you can. So maybe this Amazon month now, I can just tell the company and say, oh, in the past, maybe in 2012, we are able to make, this is 2012 now. I've already fit out the whole page by 2012. Just tell the company and say, oh, in 2012, oh, you are able to make 210,000 from technological or from technology categories. They will not be like, wow, wow. So which one is the least? Okay, furniture is the least. So definitely they have to work harder in 2013 or in 2014 to make sure that they get more sales from furniture. So all these things are the things that you're going to be giving them like insight. Okay, oh, this is like 2012 quarter one. Okay, in 2012 quarter one, oh, the sales for this current period is 86,000 naira. Why the sales for previous year, like this, the sales that they make in 2011 is 56,548. So that's to say that, okay, their sales has increased from 86,000 to 56,000. So they can also say, okay, how is their sales growing? Okay, your sales is growing by 53.35%. That is a very good sign. But if your sales is growing by, say, something like minus 30 something point, so that's like saying that, oh, they are not doing well. So all these things, initially, this is the data. Let me just show you the data. So initially, this is the data. Now, looking at this data now, there's no a way they can understand all these figures. It's not possible. Office supply, quantity 3, profit 21, sales 90, they won't understand. So this is just like a dummy data, a stupid data. Let me just put it out according to a layman. It's like just a dummy data. So in that case, there must be a way to see, okay, this is what the data is trying to convey. This is what the data is trying to explain to them. So it is not the help of the data analyst that will now say, okay, this is this and that. So in maybe for their profit view, okay, maybe this KPI, what it's trying to say is that the profit that they are able to make in 2012, the total profit is 66,000, okay, $60,000. Why their sales, their total sales in 2012 is 548,000. Why the quantity they sold is 7,099. So all these things are the things that they'll be able to see, okay, okay, we are doing well, we are not doing well, what can we do? So they are going to make a reasonable conclusion and decisions to their product or the company itself. So if they also want to view, maybe they run different states. Maybe they run Toronto, Chicago, or let's put it locally, Nigeria. Let's say they run from Oyo State, Osun State, and they want to see, okay, in Osun, how many sales are we making from Osun? So they can navigate to Osun and say, okay, in Osun, we are 10,000 sales. In Oyo State, you are making this type of sales. So all these things are the things that visualization does for companies, just for them to be able to see the way they are doing. And they can get trends. Look at this timeline now. It's like showing a trend of profit. So all these things is saying that, okay, it has been fluctuating over the years, over the quarters, because this is showing quarter. Over the quarters, it has been showing over the quarters that this is how their profit timeline has been. This is their sales timeline. So all these things are the things that we're going to be looking at one by one. So that's how visualization works. It is from the dummy data that you create the visuals. And like I said, visual data analysis and statistical data analysis works in line with each other. So that's the whole introduction. So the major thing that we intend to do today is database normalization. Now, like I said, we can't do anything in visualization without data. It is not possible. You need a data set. At some point in time when you are your advanced level, you are going to be dealing with something like SQL and some kind of data set management system. So all these management system are the system that you may probably use to get your data from anywhere. So, and but before then, I'm going to, during the additions period, this day 8, I'm going to be showing you how you can get a lot of data sets from different sites. That one also has its own process too. How can you get data sets to prepare yourself, to practice, and to work on? That requires a lot of practice. You must always practice. It is not possible for you just knowing it alone and say, yeah, I know it. Power BI just require practice a lot. You have to practice. So you have to look for some data sets to work with. So I'm going to show you all those things too, and that's what we are going to be covering in day 8. So today, in fact, everything I've been saying so far is just like preliminaries. We've not really go to the business of the day. So what we want to do today is database normalization, and this is one of the basic level of Power BI, because everything we are going to be doing in Power BI requires data sets, and you must know how to like clean up your data. This is what will make you a real data analyst. See, like I just show you, visualization is just drag and drop. Bring this visual, drag your data into it, and it's going to give you. In fact, you can even query Power BI that I want sales by category. It's going to give you. You can just question Power BI that I want this thing and that, and it's going to give you the visualization itself. That one is simple. Sure you get. But as a data analyst, one of the things that you must know very well is that what kind of visualization works for this particular data set. Those are the kind of concept that you must get. And it is not something that you can just, although if you are practicing, you are going to get it. In fact, practices is something that can make you to know that kind of concept very well. And if you also see someone to put you through, it will also fast track your knowledge in it. So what kind of, because for instance now, let's say I want to know the trend of sales from 2012 to 2023. I want to know the trend. From the word trend, based on common sense, I will just say I want to use timeline. It will be very stupid for me to say, okay, I want to look for trend, and I'm now using pie chart. I'm using maybe like donut chart or maybe column chart. It doesn't make sense. How will I show trend through pie chart and pie chart? Or so you must know what kind of data set works for a particular visualization, and those are the things that we are still going to cover in additions the day 8. So database normalization. What this one is saying is that how do you give honors to your data sets? Hey, let me just put it that way. How do you give outright honors to your data sets? I was going to give you an example. Let's say I have this particular data set. So now this data set now, this is a table. In this table, what we are trying to explain is that we have sales, and this sales is in US dollar, and it's from 2014 to 2014. Now we now have product ID. The product ID is that like a unique ID, like an index number, so just to recognize that okay, this one is 1, 2, 3. So just to recognize this product, okay, number 1, number 2, number 3. This is that's meaning of ID. So for this particular sales, we now have items. Okay, what the company is selling is binder, pen sets, and pencil. And each of these items also, they have item size. We have big, we have small, and we have medium. And each of them has their own date. Maybe this binder, which is big in size, was sold for $309 in April 6, 2014. Whereas it was not sold at all. It was not sold at all for June 12 and July 21, another date. It was not at all. Now for small pen sets, it was not sold in this particular period, but it was sold in June 12. And like that, many of them have 0, 0, 0, 0. So this kind of table is not a very good table to start your analysis with. In fact, it is very wrong to have this kind of table as a data analyst. So these are the background knowledge that we ought to have. Like normally, we must have all this background knowledge. That okay, how do you normalize your data? So I've enlisted 4 problems that is wronging with this table, and I've also provided solution to how we can solve this table. Now, there is a particular rule of thumb, and that rule of thumb is that you must always separate. You must not, like I said, you must always give a honor to your table. Now, you must always separate a particular table for that table. Now, here now, you are going to notice that we have sales. For this sales, it means that that sales is like a sales table. You are still going to notice here that we also have what they call years, which is like a date. So this particular years or dates, we can also call it a date table. So rather than joining all of them together in a single table, you can separate them just for you to be able to know, like in this, at least we are talking about 4 items here. What if we have like 100,000 items or we have 1 million items? How are we going to know that, okay, this particular table, this is what it's trying to explain, and this is what we are expecting to do? So that's kind of things that actually worries people a lot. And being a data analyst, you must know how to clean up your data very well. You must know how to normalize your database. Sorry, excuse me, some people are trying to join. All right, so you must know how to normalize your database. So we have products 1 to 3 and we have items. So the first key problems is that the items, which is binder, pencils, and pencil that we are sending here, are repeated between the second and the third lines. Look at this second line and this third line. They are both repeated. That's the key problem. Now, this we have no way to, and the second problem is that we have no way to identify the order with a unique number. For instance, now this pen set, now we cannot really say that, okay, the pen sets, like the even though you want to separate the table, there's no a way for us to say, okay, this is the order, that this is the ID for this particular item. There's no a way for us to separate that kind of item, and that's one of the key issues in this particular data set. I'm still going to explain the solution. This is just the problem. This is just the problem. So once you see the solution, you are going to get it better. So now, this date now, it's just very stupid for us to just use the kind of table, in the sense that we are repeating 2014, 2014, 2014. Why do you have to put 2014 in a separate column? This is in Excel, this is column, this is column. Why all this one like this? They are rows. So for us to put them in a separate column like this, why can't you just make 2014 a 2014? Why do you have to be saying 2014, 2014, 2014? Why can't you just say 2014 and just organize it in a way that is going to be unique, rather than separating them in all this way like this? And because of that, we are storing unnecessary zeros. Because all these zeros now, 02 is a value in Power BI, like anything analysis. Zero, as far as it is not null, even blank in Power BI is also a value. So as much as it is not zero, sorry, as much as it is not null, it is a value. So giving this thing zero, it means that you are trying to fabricate your data set, which is not a good practice. So the first one is that this sales table, this is the sales table. So all attributes should describe the sale. Item size describe the items. So what we are trying to say here in this problem is that the sales, we should have a sales table, and we should also have items too, like items table. There should be a sales table on its own that is going to represent the sales that we make per items. And we should also have a items that will also give us each items by their size. That's item table. And we should also have like a date table that will tell us at what particular period of time was this particular item sold. That is the date. So in this case now, this particular data set, we can separate it into 3 tables. And this is the way it's going to look like if you should separate them in 3 tables. So yeah, this. Now, for the what's it called? The one I just showed you now, which is that particular table. You can see that we have 3 tables here. We have the fact table, we have the product dimension table, and we have the date dimension table. And there's a particular note here that I explain the reason why we separate these 3 tables. So the first table here is called fact table. Now, in any analysis, maybe Power BI, SQL, or we are learning Tableau too, we are learning Clearview, or any of this software, we have what they call, even in Excel, we have what they call fact table, and we have what they call dimension table. Fact table, in another word, is known as summarized table, or a summary table, or maybe like a like for instance, now let's say we have a particular faculty. In that faculty, the faculty is known as social sciences. So under social sciences, we have economics, we have demography, we have geography. So that faculty that is housing all those department is known as the fact. Why all those departments on their own, they are known as dimension. So dimension is just like the continuation of the fact table. Dimension just provide like more details to the fact table. Dimension is just like, okay, we said, okay, we have like 6 departments in social sciences. Fine, that's the fact, that's the faculty. Like we have like 6 departments in faculty of social sciences. But how are we going to know the kind of, how are we going to know that the kind of department that is in that faculty? So we cannot give them each table. Okay, Department of Economics, we can call it Economics Dimension Table. Department of Geography, we can call it Geography Department Dimension Table. So like that, like that, like that. So each of those, each of the department also have their own information separately. What the faculty will just do, faculty will just explain that we have 6 departments in social sciences, and in that six departments, we have, maybe they say we have like maybe 1,000 males or 1 million females or something like that. So we can just, so that one will just give like a summary table, but the dimension will now provide more details to that fact table. So the department will now be like, okay, in maybe in economics we have male that is this and that, and maybe their interest is in football. All those details that fact table is unable to provide to us, dimension table will provide us those details. So that is the difference between fact and dimension. So majority of times, sales table is always known as sales fact table. Like sales table is always a fact table because it represents what we are trying to populate, what we are trying to visualize. So that's like our major interest. So we can also have like other fact table. For instance, in accounting department, now let me just enter into finances. We can say we have like wages fact table, we have other costs, we have gross margin, we have a profit table. All those ones can also be like a fact table. So, but other things like product, at least for every sales, there must be a product. There must be something that you are selling, Abi. So for those kind of things that you are selling, you must put them, you can put them in a separate dimension table. And that's why we have a product dimension table here. In this particular table that I show you, that is showing everything, you can see that we have a sales and we have a product ID and we have items. All these items here now, they are the products. And we also have a specific date for each of them. So in that case, we are separating it that, okay, let's have a sales table, which is going to be summarizing everything, which is known as the facts table. And let's also have the product table, which is going to be summarizing the product itself, known as the product dimension table. And we should also have like a date table, which is going to be summarizing the date at which each of the products is being bought. So that's what we are going to be doing here, majorly. So now the fact table, like I said, is the sales table. So for it has its own order ID. It has its own separate order ID. So we give it order like an index number just to note that okay, 101, 102, 103, 104. And it has its date. So like okay, this particular this particular product, we don't know the product. For instance, like I said, the Faculty of Social Sciences has 6 departments, but Faculty of Social Sciences will not tell you the department. They'll just tell you 6. They'll just give you like a summary that okay, we have this, but they will not give you the details that this is the kind of thing that we have. So that is like the fact. That's what the fact does. The fact will not tell you, the product itself, but it will tell you that okay, particular product that has this product ID was sold at this particular price in this particular date. To just tell you, but it will not tell you that okay, maybe it is binder that it was sold, or it was pen set that was sold, and all those things. To not tell you, to just tell you the ID that okay, this particular sorry, I speak Yoruba, but you just know that like there's a particular product that was being sold at this particular date and for this particular price. So that's what the fact table just explained. So the product dimension table will now give you more details into the sales table. Okay, we are saying that for this particular IDO, we have different items like 101, 1001 is representing item which is binder, and 1002 is representing an item which is pen set, and 1003, this is a mistake, sorry, it's supposed to be 13. So instead of us having something like separate, like I said, one of the problem is that we are having items and item size to be repeated between the second and third line. So instead of us having them like this in a separate line, we can just separate the whole table. such that we are going to have the ID to be single instead of doubling the IDs. So this is 1001, 1002. This is supposed to be 1003. So we are saying that everything that has 1002 is for pen sets. Everything that has 1001 is for binder. And everything that has 1003 is for pencil. And the item size for 1001 is big, and for pen sets for 1002 is small, and for medium for 1003, which is pencil. That's what the product dimension table is going to explain for that one that is product. So the last one is the date dimension table. So the date dimension table, what that one does do is that it's going to explain at what date was all these products being bought or being sold for. So this particular date, which is 6/4/2014, in 2014, a particular product was sold. The date dimension is going to tell you something like that. So that one is like giving honors to each of the table without bringing them all together. If they are bringing all these tables together, it's going to create a confusion. And now look at this Power BI that I show you, the table. This is the, okay, let me show the modeling view. So this is the model view. In this model view, you are going to see different tables for different, you can see now this is other dim. The meaning of other dim is just like other dimension. This is the sales fact. Like I told you, many of times sales is always a fact table, like a summary table. And we also have the date dimension separately on its own. So each of all these tables, all these things are representing table. So each of all these tables, they have their own, they are separate on their own, and they are connecting to the summary table. Like this other dim now, it is connecting with this fact table, while this date dimension is also connecting with this fact table. So it is separated so that it's going to give you some kind of explanation on how to go about your table chart, that you're not going to be having issues. So these are the things that they call database normalization. So you have to be very, very careful on how you normalize your table. We can have many dimensions. There are many. And we can also have different fact table too. This one I'm just showing here, we only have 2-dimension table. But as time goes on, as we are going with that, we can have like 3, 5 tables like that. So it actually varies. You can have many dimension table, and we can connect them together. Like I said, it is called cardinality, but we are still going to get there. I think day 5 or day 4 of the class, we are going to explain what cardinality means and how you can connect one particular table to another table. So moving on, let me just quickly explain what this means. So we have fact tables. They say fact tables contain things that we measure and any attribute that describe the sale. I think I've explained that too, but this measurement, I'm still going to explain better in maybe day 3 or day 4, where we are going to be talking about measurements and measures and DAX. So measure is just some calculation. So majority of time, fact tables always contain measures like calculations and any attribute that describe the sale. Like for this one is saying that okay, this particular date is in this particular date, this product was sold for this amount, but we don't know the product. So for us to know the product, we have to go to the product dimension table. So that one will now explain, okay, this particular product was sold, binder, big size, that's it. So and it was in 2014. So the dimension tables add detail, like I have explained. The dimension table adds detail and therefore describe fact table attributes in more detail. So the dimension table add detail and therefore describe fact table attributes in more detail. I think I've explained this too. So it just show the dimension table and give explanations to, sorry, dimension table give explanations to the sales table. So like I think I've explained down those ones too. So the metrics too appear in a single column. This one, and practically we are going to understand this better later on. But for now, let me just skip it. Metrics is just like a measurement too, like a measure in a way. How do you calculate sales, sum of sales? How do you calculate profits and many things like that? So these are the things we are going to be explaining there. So and all other attributes are separated into dimension tables. So if there is particular, here we are saying that any attribute that describes the sale must be contained in the fact table. So if there is no any attribute that describe the sale, they must be in their separate table. Because now look at this product dimension table now. Binder does not explain anything about the sales. In as much as the ID is already explaining that okay, a particular product ID of this number is sold for 309,000 US dollars. It means that one is okay enough. Like that is like summarized enough. The sales must just contain the sales alone. The sales table must contain the sales alone. The product dimension table must contain the product alone. While the date dimension table must contain the date alone without any other attributes. So if there's any other attribute, like let's say, maybe like the wages or profit sometimes, or any other attributes that may not really necessarily have to be part of the sales table. They have to be on their own dimension table. Let's say maybe like, in fact, okay, category. Let's say like a store dimension table. Store dimension table may contain something like the location at which the product was sold, what is the category of the item, and all those things. They can be under the store dimension table. So these are the attributes that we are seeing. They have to be on their own separate table, and no information must be repeated. Unlike the first one that we are repeating 2014, 2014, 2014, it is wrong. So the rule of thumb is that you must not repeat any information. You must clear your data up to the level that you must not repeat any kind of information. It must be separate, like you must give honors to each of the columns. So all tables have a unique identifier for each row. For instance, now there must be a particular ID for each row. This is a row. So this is column. So for each row, there must be a particular ID that you must be able to identify. That you must use to identify these things. If the data set that you are using does not have an ID, you can create an ID for it. We are going to cover those ones too in the Power Query editor in the additions class. How you create an index column, how do you create an ID for your data set. So all tables must have their unique identifier. For instance, now for this product, now this is 1001. I can connect this product dimension table with this fact table. If I want to connect it, there must be a particular ID that must look alike in the two tables. For instance, now this is 1001. This is product dimension table 1001. It means that if I should connect this table and this table together now, Power BI automatically, because of its intelligence, is going to look into it and be like, oh, it's going to look into this. Like I will just use this product ID. I will just connect this product ID from the sales table. I will just connect it with the item ID here in the product dimension table. And from there, it's going to anything that is in this row will be linked to each other. So it's going to be telling me if I should link this table now, it means that it's going to be telling me that binder have a sales value of $309 and it is of big size. Pen set has a sales value of 57.7 and $686.95 US dollars and it is of size of small. So all these things are the things that, so it must have a unique identifier. For this sales fact table and the date dimension table too, you can see that the date ID here and this one can be used to connect the table together. So there must be a particular ID that is going to show how do you connect the tables together. So that's how it works. This part of the example here, in this model, if you should notice, each of these things, you may not be able to see it very well, but if I look at this now, I think, let me try to, you may not be able to see it, but look at this, you can see it as I over to this link, it shows other dates here, and it shows dates in this date dimension here. So for under the other dimension, it shows other dates, and under the date dimension, it shows date. It means that the unique identifier that I was able to use to connect this date dimension and this other dimension, it is the other date in the other dimension and the date column in the date dimension. So, but we're still going to look into this one by one under the, what's it called? Under the, as the time goes on, when we are creating our visuals, I'll be explaining that. So all these concepts, in fact, there are many to these things. There are many things to these things, but let's just start from the basics to, step by step. So like I said, visuals is very simple. To create a visual, drag and drop, and all that, I can just quickly drag and drop here, and I'll just create my visuals. But it is not enough to just drag and drop. At least if you are going to drag and drop, you must supply a data set. How do you clean that data set? And how do you do the data set to meet your client objective or your organization objective? So all these things must be well stated and it must be well known before you start doing anything in Power BI. So this is 6 p.m. already. So I'm going to be rounding up with this introduction class for today. So I'm going to be entertaining questions whatsoever. So please, tomorrow we are going to be starting with importing data, and I'm going to say this: if you have not download this thing, once we finish this class, try as much as possible to download the class and to download the Power BI. Don't sign up yet. Don't sign up yet. Just download the desktop file. If you don't want to download it during the day, you can do it night sub and download it. For the importing data, you are going to be looking at the Power Query editor. How do you know the data type, and how do you load your data? So all these things we are going to be looking at into them tomorrow by God's grace. So that's everything for today's class. So if you have any question, you can always raise your hand. I'm going to so if you have any question, you can always raise your hand. I'm going to unmute you, and from there we can ask a question. So do you have any question? If you have question, just raise your hand.
Good evening.
Oh, Abdul Fatai, good evening.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Um,
Okay.
does control key work in Power BI too? All these control keys in Excel, in Word, does it work in Power BI? And another thing is,
Everything. Okay.
okay,
Sorry.
okay, continue.
No, just ask your question so I can just take them one by one. It's
Okay,
okay.
another thing is because I use Excel very well. If you want to sort
Okay.
file in Excel, there are options whereby you can just highlight the table and try and sort or filter the data sets in case we have repetition, just like we have in Power BI. So
Yeah.
my own now is, are we going to do, if we want to like remove repeated data, are we going to, is there any shortcut that we can use that will be faster?
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the question you asked. So please unmute your this thing, your audio, so that I can So all right, thank you very much for the question you asked, Abdul Fatai. So the thing is that Power BI, all the control keys, all the control shift, alt, everything also works in Power BI as well, just like it works in Excel and other Microsoft products. Just that at some point in time, like there are some advanced control keys that may not be, and may be in Excel and may not be in Power BI. You know, that one is normal. But if like something like Control X, if you want to Control S and save, it is there. If you want to Control C and copy, Control D, all those things, Control paste, everything is there, like all those normal control. So they are all there in the Power BI. So, like I said, Excel and Power BI is, if you are going to compare and contrast, Excel and Power BI is more flexible than Excel. Now look at what you are just telling me now. Like, if you want to filter, you have to first highlight and go to probably a data tab, or you go to the home tab and select the filter and sort before you now start sorting your data and all those things. In Power BI, that kind of thing, it works for, let's say I have like, okay, this is an Excel file here. Let's say I have like 1 million. At least Excel is like I've closed. Okay, let me open this one. Excel have like about 1 million, about 1 million rows. Now let's say I'm working with, let's say I'm working with like 10 millions, or 10,000, or like a large data set, and I want to sort it. Will I start trying to highlight all these things one by one and try to filter them and all those things? So it will be very stressful. Even though it is possible, it will be very stressful. So what Power BI can just do is that, before you can even before you can even load your data, you must clean it up. So you must take care of any duplicates. You must take care of, so all these things are things that we do in Power BI query, in Power BI Power Query Editor. I'm going to introduce that one maybe tomorrow. I think that's for tomorrow's class. So we have Power here. So Power Query Editor. I'm going to introduce this one towards it tomorrow. So we have Power BI, Power Query Editor. So this is where you are going to clean up your data. If you have anything that is duplicate, if you want to sort, like if you want to arrange your data before you load it into Power BI dashboard or report page rather, that there's a way to do it. So in Power Query Editor. So it's very easy. And this one will take care of if you have like plenty data set, like a large data set, unlike Excel that is just limited data set and you're trying to work with a Python and all those things. Power BI is more flexible than the Excel in that case. So that's how it works. And if you also want to filter, for instance, now in Power BI, although of course, if you are in Excel, if you are working with something like maybe you are working with slicers, Power Pivots, pivot chart, and all that, you can also slice. Like you can also filter. For instance, now I can filter. Let's say I want to filter by. Okay, let me open the other one here. Yeah, okay. Let's say I want to filter by the. For instance, I want to filter all these particular visuals at once. I want to filter them by binder and desk, or maybe let's say with pen. Everything just changes automatically. Like you're just changing. Like so, although there are some of these what's it called too in Excel, but it is not as flexible as they are in Power BI. But if you know about Excel very well, it's a very good way to go in Power BI. However, if you don't have any knowledge in Excel before, it is mutually exclusive. It does not really affect each other. So whether you have Excel knowledge or not, you are still going to know Power BI. But if you have Excel knowledge, it's going to ace your knowledge in Power BI. So that's how that works. So Abu Fatai, I don't know if I've answered your question. All right.
Yes, you have answered. Thank you.
All right. So does anybody also have a question? So please, if you have a question, just raise up your hand. Don't feel shy. Oh, someone is okay. Let me unmute you. Rabu. All right, Sabi.
Good evening, sir.
All right, good evening.
Sir, we talked about that Power BI has three versions of interface. We talked about the desktop view, the online version, and mobile view. Please, which one is most convenient out of the three views, or it depends on our preference?
All right, good. Okay, okay. Do you have any other question? That's your question.
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. So what he asked is that I mentioned that we have almost like three versions of Power BI. We have the desktop version, we have the mobile layout, we also have the online service versions too. Actually, it is not. If you are not learning each of them separately, like maybe they do not have different workflows. It's still the same thing that you are doing. If you should learn desktop version, it is still the same thing that you learn in desktop version that you're going to do in online. But like it's not, there's not any separate thing in like in two of them. And the mobile versions too. Mobile version, I'm going to after this call, I'm going to look at my mobile app, like the one I have on my mobile on my phone. I'm going to screenshot it how it looks like. Especially, I think I converted this particular visuals into mobile layout. So I'm going to screenshot it and just it's just very simple, just like there are some buttons that are going to press and just convert. You don't need to have to start learning one for the other one. But the one that you can easily learn is just a desktop version. Once you learn the desktop version and you know how to use it very well, other things are just by the way, they are just things that you're going to learn like by default. It's not something that you have to start having creating time to say, okay, I want to learn the online version. Or, where will I start from? So no, if you just learn the desktop version alone, it's going to cover for the other versions. So there's no any significant separate differences in the three versions. So Rabbi, I don't know if that answers your question.
Correctly, sir. You answered me correctly, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, you are welcome. So, does anybody still have any question? So, if you have any question, you can raise your hand so I can unmute you, and you can always there is a place for you to chat. You can send some messages if you have any messages to send. If you cannot, probably where you are is noisy or something, and you want to ask some question, you can easily just yeah, Temilade, you can unmute your this thing and then. Rabi, do you
Good
still have
afternoon, sir.
question, or you can just raise your hand? All right, Temilade, I'm with you.
Yes, sir. I just joined recently, so I want to ask if the meeting is being recorded. So because of
Yeah, it is recorded, but why do you have to join it?
I just some issues. I'm very
All right, no
sorry.
problem. But I'm going to share the link to the video anyways, so you can always check.
And also, has
So
there been any
okay,
technical explanation before, and maybe some things that are that's not knowing them might affect the overall experience of the program?
yeah, especially this class, everything that we taught in this class may actually affect the overall this thing, but the video actually covers the class. So I believe if you just watch the video, it should at least give you some kind of um highlights on how to continue. Don't worry, just the video is enough.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So does anybody still have questions? And please, if you have any comments for today's class, so that this is just trying to also improve myself on how I can prepare better or for the next class. If you have any question whatsoever, maybe technical issues with the app or the challenges you face while signing up with the Microsoft Teams, and other things that you think it is technically difficult. But because I was even thinking at some point in time we are going to transition to what's it called, Zoom, but Microsoft is very flexible than other platform, and it's always take attendance to the videos and everything is perfectly okay. Maybe I'm talking from the view of the admin though, but it's okay. But if you anything you want, I will try to bend to it. So if you have any comments on how the class you feel like the class should be better upgraded, just try to notice, just message, just chat, just text. I'm going to see it from here. All right, so Limon, you can ask your question. Please just unmute your audio.
Okay, good evening. It's
All right,
concerning
good
the
evening.
network. I don't know, but I'm not sure it's mine. Your voice is like faster than the what's it called? What you are showing us for
Oh,
Hudson. Yeah, but
oh,
I don't
really?
think it's yeah.
Oh. Well, I actually don't notice that, but wow. All right. I don't know. Probably it's my own network or kind of. If it's not from yours, probably it is mine. But I couldn't know. But anyways, I'm going to. But were you able to get anything like from one cent?
Yeah. Sure.
All right, that was good. That was good.
Thank you.
So I'm going to look into it. Yeah, right. Shay, Ogunleye. Please unmute. You can. I think you are even unmute. Just ask your question. Shay, are you there? Hello, Shay. Well, I think he has lost his internet. Abiu, do you want to? You still want to ask question?
I want to ask question. I want to make a suggestion, sir. What the other person that I need to ask now. He said the voice
Okay.
is faster than your thing. I guess it is network. I also have the issue not quite when we first started the class, and I later rectified network. I think this app we are using, the two app, Microsoft Team app we are using is kind of flexible for this kind of gathering. And the other question I asked is um, the dimension table and the fact table. Now, it's very possible for us to have the dimension table without the fact table, or we have to have fact table first before we can create our dimension table. That's my question, sir.
Okay. Actually, we are working with data sets. Okay, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned the app. Well, this is not my first time using this app, so I can get if it is not sorry, Sulaimon, please unmute your audio. Rabi. All right, so the app is quite like people have been saying a lot about the app. Please, Rabi, can you unmute your audio?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So can you mute it rather? I was saying unmute. All right, so the app is kind like people have been saying a lot about like the spoopiness and sometimes I think it requires a lot of data actually. It consumes a lot of data. And I think that's why many of us are having that issue. Probably we are going to transit to using Zoom henceforth or any other platform that that can be used for this class. So the other question that you asked that the fact table and the sales fact table or the dimension table. If let's say for instance a client give you a particular data set for you to analyze, they won't be the one to tell you that I use dimension table, fact table. They won't be the one to tell you all those things. They will just give you a particular dummy data set. So you be the one to try to sit down on your own and read the data. You have to check the data to see, okay, this particular, this is how I'm going to organize my own data. So that database normalization is just like a rule of thumb. It's just it's just like a ways of normalizing your data set. Whatsoever data set that you are given to, try as much as possible to always have like a separate. Make sure that all those conditions that we mentioned, that it must not be repeated, it must not be duplicated. All those things, make sure that they are all affected in the kind of data set you are using. If they are not, try as much as possible to make them be. So, and one of the ways that you can treat them is just like creating a fact table separately from a dimension table. But it's not like the one you're going to be using now, it only have like a single table. There's not anything like dimension and it's okay. It's only date dimension that we have. So this is office supplies. So and it's talking about sales alone. So there is not much need for us to have a what's it called, a product like a separate dimension, like a separate table for them. Although looking at all these things, I'm still seeing some ways at which we can probably separate them. But you see that this region is just the region, the rep is just rep, the item is just a single item. It does not have other things. Like it does not have like item size, for instance. It does not have other things. So everything can just be there. So each of them are still describing the sales fact table. So it is a single, all this one is very like this particular data is already clean, like it is neat. There's no need for us to create any what's it called, any table for this, any dimension table for this. The way that we can just do is just to have like a date dimension table. For instance, now we want to, maybe we are interested in knowing the kind of year, the year at which this particular product was bought. We also want to know the month. We also want to know the quarter or the week of the year. All those things should not be in this table. Since it is getting longer like that, you just have to separate them. So and that's why we have this date dimension here. So this date dimension now, this is the date attribute. This particular attribute is like the ID. So this one and this particular other date now, if you are going to connect this date and sorry, this table and this table together, we are going to use this particular ID. So this is the year, this is the quarter, this is the month, this is the so this one is now explicit. It is detailed. There's nothing like now you cannot be combining all this table now. We should not put it together in this table. It's not a good practice. So separating them like this is one of the best way. So if you have a particular data set, nobody will tell you that this is what you're supposed to do. You'll be the one to know, okay, as a data analyst, I have to separate a fact table from a dimension table, just to make your work very neat. And like this data set that I did, maybe after the whole class, I can send the raw data set to you. I have already cleaned all these things. If you see data set from initial, it is not as fine as this. and it's not as clean as this. So I was the one that did all this data dimension and add this ones to and so they will not give you specifically that this is what you're supposed to do. You'll be the one to navigate and narrow it down to the way you want it, so that your visualization is going to look very fine and better, and to not just be random and just so that's why we have that kind of concept. So it's just like a rule of thumb that you have a fact table separately from a dimension table. So that's it. I hope that answered your question, Abby.
It does. It does. It does. Yes, sir.
All right. So does anybody still have any question? Sulaimon, are you raising up your hand? Hello, Sulaimon. All right. So does anybody have a question?
Sorry.
Okay. I'm with you. Oh, I thought it's a question, Sulaimon. So, all right. So if we don't really have any other questions again, I think I would like to end this call. So I'm going to send the links to you, the video links to you. So if you want to rewatch, you can always rewatch anytime at your convenient time. And before tomorrow's class, you can try to download your Power BI app. So that's when you're going to really dive into what Power BI is. Everything you've been doing this morning just like a preliminary what's it called introductions to what Power BI is. You've not really done anything. So try as much as possible. I know that all of us we have our own schedules and everything, but it will be better for you to at least just 8 days and it's just like 1 hour per day. So I was one I know when I was doing my own learnings too, I know how many weeks, months I used in learning Power BI. So like bringing everything up in 8 days is something that is really worthwhile. So I would just encourage you as much as possible to meet up with the class every time. I always come early because if you should meet up early, rather than leveraging on watching the videos, it's going to if you also have questions, you'll be able to raise them at once rather than we going back. So that said, so I'm going to be leaving this call. I'm going to be ending the call for everyone. So please and please, I would like to have your feedback on the what's it called? I'm going like to have your feedback on WhatsApp regarding the app, the technical issues, and how does the presentation goes, so that I can know how to also improve at my hands, and it's going to be okay for both of us. So that said, so once again, my name is Jami Adeleke, and I'm the facilitator for this program. So see you tomorrow by God's grace.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Yeah.